Hey, welcome. Welcome to... Oh, I'm in the wrong drive. Sorry, folks. Hey, welcome to Blazing Cat for Fridays, where apparently I have a normal script and that I have just completely screwed up. I'll be right back. Hey, welcome to Blazing Cat for Fridays, where we do a cold read-through of the best news aggregate for an unobscured eye. On current events, I'd like to thank BCF for posting these live streams and for his tireless commitment to publishing a site every day coming up on 20 years in February. Please support his site. 20 years in February. Holy shit, we already are February. It's been 20 years. Outstanding. We're streaming on 3 platforms, Rumble, X, and YouTube. So please give us a like, thumbs up, follow, share, and subscribe. Most of all, the chat is up across all 3 platforms, so please feel free to ask anything. Comments drive the algorithm when I'm not driving it down with my forbidden words. This veteran appreciates your support. Please visit my channels and share. And how about we just go straight into the intro, and then we will get right into the show. If I can just get rid of all this crap that's going on here and right there. And let's go. Right, we're back. Let's get straight into the show. We've done the intro. We've done everything we can. Now we're on the website. Let's do a quick refresh. And I have not looked at this site, even though it looked like there was something up recent. It's just I needed to get the address for something else that I was doing earlier. Hey, there we are. Look at that. Outstanding. We're broadcasting. So, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Tuxedo Cats don't play around. Okay, well, let's get rid of the bird chirp. There we go. And let's get our desktop sound on. And
no, this isn't your home. girlfriend home. No. Go get her. No. TikTok.
I don't get it. Is that normal cat behavior? I'm not sure. Not really a cat person. Although we are, of course, on Blazing Cat for Friday. All right. Get back to this thing here. Yeah. Even auto giants know it. The electric car boom is out of charge. Indeed. So many problems with this whole EV rollout. A lot of problems. I think the customer has spoken. That's the punchline, said Jim Farley, the chief executive of Ford. The American boss was speaking last week as his company unveiled a $5 billion annual loss. $5 billion, which, by the way, Canadians, is only 5 months worth of interest on our $1 trillion plus deficit that we have. So yeah, for us, it's like building a new hospital every month and burning it down to the ground. So when you look at that comparatively, it's not that bad of a loss for them. The cause? An aggressive bet on electric vehicles that backfired spectacularly. In 2025, sales of the Mustang Mach-E crossover and the F-150 Lightning pickup truck, once hailed by Farley as the truck of the future, went into reverse. Of course. Why would somebody buy a muscle car whose entire history was built on the muscle of an internal combustion engine, that roar, that vibration, that feel of instant power that comes from combusting fuel? Why did they think swapping that out with a massive battery would make people want to buy it? And the trucks? Well, the trucks were heavier with that massive battery pack than their internal combustion variants, didn't have the same range, and had some towing issues. So, yeah, of course, they didn't sell very well. And of course, after 5 years, your car's toast, you got to change the battery. So it's like having to buy a new car every 5 years. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. New drunk driver slams into the front of a preschool in Freehold Township, New Jersey, hits a mother and her children. 68-year-old Angela Arrigo, who was reportedly picking up a child, was arrested and charged with driving while intoxicated. The back of the car was seen. Well, let's just bring that up in another tab here. We'll wait for that to load and see if this plays. They really were lucky, weren't they? And the US finally just shut up about Canada's defense spending. Oh, yeah, well, maybe we should just talk about all our socialized spending. Our trailblazing prime minister was at the podium in Montreal. Over the last few decades, Carney said, Canada has neither spent enough on our defense nor invested enough in our defense industries. That's to change, he added, setting out plans for far more domestic spending on military hardware because the assumptions that define decades of Canadian defense and foreign policy have been turned upside down. Well, I can tell you from personal experience, every time the Liberals were in power, we knew that was going to be a decade of darkness when it came to military spending. And the Trudeau era did not disappoint in what they were going to. In fact, the Trudeau era did even worse. The second Trudeau era, by the way, did even worse than what we thought. And now, of course, with the Carneys in charge, well, they want to replace all your Canadian troops with foreign troops. Let's just give our mercenaries direct citizenship to Canada, and we'll just not hire our white citizens. They've had this hiring practice of excluding white Christians from joining the armed forces since the COVIDity stupidity to meet their diversity quotas. They've been hiring recruits that can't speak either of the official languages. And then they've had to hire translators at the battle school in Gagetown just to put them through. I mean, you don't even have entrance exams anymore to join the military. So, of course, it's this. And if you've been to my channel, my last video that I put out was on temporary foreign workers and the buffoonery of the LMIA that's associated with the TFWs, massive corruption. And of course, the Liberals have no plan to kick out the 5 million expired visas by the end of the year. Now, there's already 1 million expired, and they don't have a plan to remove those. They're completely baffled. I know what they're going to do. They're just going to give them citizenship so the Liberals can become the natural ruling party forever of Canada. I mean, just hiring mercenaries to join your military. You can't get your own people to join. How is that not a sign that your government has lost the plot? Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. When attempted record-breaking jump goes wrong. Ooh, this should be interesting. Let me bring this up. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's get some sound.
That's how you do it, share like.
Well, I have to say, that's a pretty crappy video. We never got to see the actual whole jump from start to end in one cut from the entire thing to see where it went wrong on the landing. Andrew leaves police station after Epstein scandal arrest. Ah, yes, I've been following this. Now, of course, the arrest had nothing to do with sexual predilections. It all had to do with him violating his oath to the country regarding classification of documentation and him leaking out to the wrong people. So, I guess that's to be construed as treason. But that's not for me to decide. We'll see what happens in the UK. He left the police station under the cover of darkness, slumped in the back seat of a car, wild-eyed and exhausted. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor looked like a man with a full weight of the past and the future on his shoulders. A man born in a palace, as Prince Andrew spent his 66th birthday at a police station on Thursday, becoming the first member of the royal family in modern history to be arrested. By nightfall, after nearly 12 hours in custody, he was released under caution, with more questions to come. The magnitude of his fall from grace seemed etched on his face. And here's a post by Mario Newfowl. Epstein's New Mexico Zorro Ranch was a 10,000-acre compound with its own mansion, runway, hangar, surrounded by a wide-open desert that made escape impossible. Multiple survivors say they were trafficked there, summoned to his bedroom, and sexually assaulted. The ranch also hosted, it says show more, would have to click on that to get to the other story. Yes, it's rather disturbing, all the predilections that we've been seeing now, including, of course, cannibalism, apparently. So it's there's just no end to the depths of depravity that seem to be associated with this entire thing. And of course, the mainstream media just doesn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole in Canada, seeing as Carney's been implicated 69 times in the Epstein documentation. Now, of course, it could all be innocent, right? But if you've been watching Moose on Loose and on his Moose chart, there are some interesting connections regarding his time working in the UK, which all seems to be about the same time that they're talking about with Prince Andrew. I'm just saying these are observations. Mario Neufeld, Juliet Bryant, was 20 years old, promised a modeling career, and instead trafficked from Cape Town to Epstein's New Mexico ranch and his island, where she was raped repeatedly. And women who recruited her, they laughed while it was happening. Yep. Mark Carney, 69 times in the Epstein documents. Hey, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. A post here from Clown World. A doorbell camera captured the moment a FedEx driver was delivering a package to a suburban home when things suddenly took a turn. Just as he was about to set the box down, a person wearing a black hoodie and mask rushed up and tried to grab it straight from his hands. The driver, well, let's watch the video. We can just make sure we have our desktop on. No. Things are getting desperate out there. It's only going to get worse. Well, in Canada anyway, especially with the Liberals in charge. Something needs to change. Smith addresses Canada's population jump outpacing European countries. Indeed, 34% increase since 2000. 2001, no, 2000? Year 2000? Is that? No, since 2010? Anyways, 34% increase in population in Canada, driven all by mass migration. And nobody's having babies here in Canada. Nobody can afford it. People usually want to have a home before they have a baby. And most people can't afford a home. Most people can't afford Gen Z, having problems moving out of their parents' basement. So, of course, something needs to change. Calgary. Premier Daniel Smith's chief of staff, Rob Anderson, says Smith will address staggering immigration numbers on Thursday in a televised address to the province. Anderson was reaching to a post by David Coletto on X, CEO of Abacus Data Canada, on Wednesday. Now it says here, watch the TV address, and then here's all the numbers. And oh yeah, there it is, Canada, 34% since 2000. Okay, that's the numbers I was trying to think. I wasn't even watching the screen. The numbers are right there. But yes, it's insane. There's nobody even close to us. Nobody. I mean, Denmark's been out of control for years, and they're still at around 11.9%. Sweden, we know, was like the rape capital of Europe. They're at 19.1%. Netherlands, of course, out of control by the far left governments. Now, of course, that's starting to change there. Austria, 14.5%. It's insane in the membrane. Well, Goldstein, 10-year plans are meaningless, which is why Carney loves them. Yes, they're all about announcements, these guys. They're announcing this, they're announcing that. We have a memorandum of understanding. We have an agreement with... Yes, but in the end, they're just words. Words with nothing, except, of course, to manipulate the markets every time he does this, which in turn boosts his stocks. You know, the massive financial portfolio he said he never had during the last election, which turned out to be completely false. He knows what he's doing. There are few things in politics more indecipherable or meaningless to the average Canadian taxpayer than a government announcing a 10-year plan, which is why Prime Minister Mark Carney keeps doing it. 10-year plans gives the government lots of runway before it has to produce results. Oh, don't worry, we'll be boring like drunken sailors on meth for the next 3 years, because 10 years from now, we'll be great. It's in the plan. Canadian doc coached 26-year-old to qualify for state-sponsored suicide, says family. These evil, evil mofos. The family of a 26-year-old Canadian man who was recently euthanized is speaking out against the law that allowed for his death after a doctor reportedly coached him on how to qualify for physician-assisted suicide. There is, again, no depth to the evil that has overtaken our land under the Liberal Party of Canada over the past going on 11 years now. It's nothing but death and misery and population replacement. Canada will have to accept higher U.S. tariffs and unthinkable concessions. Indeed, of course, because remember, Mark Carney said he was the only man who could get a deal for Canada with Trump. He was the only guy, right? And then it turns out Canada was the only country on the planet other than China who couldn't get a deal with the United States, even though we've been trade partners for decades and decades and have had close relations and we're symbiotically and economically connected with 85% of our trade, of course, which of course the liberals are trying to destroy through ideological purposes and manipulation of the media that they also control to change people's minds regarding Americans by constantly telegraphing their anti-MAGA Trump message nonstop. So of course, with constantly poking the Americans in the eye, saying, well, we don't want to make trade with you. We want to use you as a sounding board for our sock puppets so that we can control the votes for the next election that they're probably going to call this spring. Yes, indeed. Why did we send a whole delegation? 200 plus folks on Canadian dimes to go down to Mexico for a trade thing, organizing trade organizations outside of the country as middle powers against the U.S., all of them overseas across huge ponds. You know, Canada doesn't really produce anything. It doesn't manufacture hardly anything anymore. So what the hell are we going to trade? What are we going to send them? Oh, I know what's happening, right? We want to build a huge defense industry in Canada now. We want to build everything that Mark Carney's invested in, basically. That's what it seems Canada is moving all its taxpayer base, all its expenditures into promoting businesses that Mark Carney is involved in to make him richer while calling all this spending investing. And all his El Bozos seem to lap it up like there's no tomorrow. As the renegotiation of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement looms, game theory suggests Ottawa may have to accept higher American tariffs and make previously unthinkable concessions. The calculus has fundamentally changed. In previous negotiations, all three countries shared a commitment to the principles of free trade, which ensured cooperative outcomes. Now the United States sees trade through a different lens entirely, one revealed in recent trade deals and policy statements. And while dismissing anything from President Donald Trump's administration has become questionable, the logic of their position isn't entirely without foundation. Someone with common sense snuck into the globe and slipped this in, writes Blazing Cadfur. Oh, I said this is a glob and pail story. Well, I guess in those ways, BCF doesn't discriminate in who he posts and links his stories to. Trumpism is working. Indeed, it is for the United States. Maybe, just maybe, we owe defenestrated Liberal Party leader Suzanne Lay a small apology for her out there views on numerology, if nothing else. After all, she was rolled as leader on Friday the 13th. I have no idea if she was also foolishly walked under an upright ladder, then kicked a black cat while gazing into a broken mirror before heading into the party room spill vote. But come on, Suzanne, with two S's. Even we skeptics of numerology know you should have made sure the spill was held on a different day of the month. Okay, I have no idea what this story is about. Suzanne is a Liberal Party leader. Was this in the UK? Now I'm curious. Daily Skeptic Store. Oh, it's Australia. Ah, yes, of course. Well, Australia, of course, is having the same problems we are. Apparently, I thought they were having worse immigration issues in Canada, but I guess we've outdone them there too. I guess we're number one in something. It's good to be number one, not for those things. Andrew's arrest over Epstein files. China ties cast shadow over investigation and Starmer government. London. British police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Thames Valley Police confirmed Thursday morning. The arrest, believed to set a historical precedent in Britain, came on his 66th birthday. Officers were seen at the Sandringham estate in Norfolk, where the former prince has been living since being evicted from his sprawling royal residence. At least 6 unmarked police cars were photographed arriving at Wood Farm, his current residence on King Charles's Sandringham estate, with around 8 officers thought to be on site, the BBC reported. Searches were also conducted at an address in Berkshire, likely at the royal estate at Windsor where he previously lived. Yes, well, we've already covered this story a little earlier. I think we're reaching the end of the page here. Rupert Lowe's Powell Light Revolution. He risks splitting the right. Yes, he does. But unfortunately, Nigel Farage has done it. He's created this problem, right? Because Nigel Farage, he's a bit of an elitist himself. He's decided to ostracize certain people from his reform movement because they're too far right. Well, in fact, they're too common sense, right? Because Nigel looks like he still wants to hold on to some of the old vestiges of Westminster parliamentarism, elitism in his, just look how he treated Tommy Robinson, right? That, I think, says it all right there. Rupert Lowe deals in the politics of return. Illegal immigrants are going back, and so is Britain. The Great Yarmouth MP, formerly of Reform UK, has now launched Restore Britain as a new political party, and on Wednesday evening claimed that it had passed 70,000 members. The launch announcement was marked with a stirring video of Lowe in his farmer's getup, as well as a series of semi-ironic nationalist compilations, presumably made by Restore's Zoomer foot soldiers. In one of these, amongst nostalgic nods to Jeff Hurst and Zulu, really, the movie Zulu, 1997, is invoked as the year when everything started to go wrong. Yep. Speaking over grainy images of lost Britain, Lowe sums up his political outlook. I think the state is bad, and I think the individual is good. One area where the state has undoubtedly failed in Lowe's eyes is on the matter of immigration. While Reform has pledged to deport all illegal immigrants, Restore wants to go further. Lowe has promised to scrap the asylum system entirely, also stating last week that legal immigration will almost come to a complete halt. The goal is not just to halt migrant influxes, but to reverse them. Net zero immigration is weak. It is insufficiently, and it is too late, he said in the speech with which he launched the party. Barbarians are already at the gates. I prefer both his trustworthiness and his policy to Farage, writes BCF down there at the bottom. And of course, we in Canada must really be vigilant. And it is, I don't know if our Canadians going to finally wake up, because Diab, the immigration minister, just come out yesterday talking about basically giving citizenship to foreigners joining our military because they can't hire enough Canadians. This is the same situation here. What has happened to Canada? Well, thank you all for coming out to Blazing Catfur Fridays, where we do a cold read-through of his website, and we just go down the first page, which usually takes us about a half hour, and here we are at the bottom of the hour, just in time to do an outro with Space Cat. So thank you all for coming out. It looks like we finally had a stream without any issues, other than, of course, my own mismanagement at the beginning. Join us every morning at 9 a.m. for second breakfast as well. which we do the rest of the week. Of course, we always come back here on Fridays at BCF. So, see you back here, see you there, or be square. Thanks you all for coming out. I really appreciate you watching, and we're getting real close to 200 subscribers, so you might be number 200. See you later. Bye-bye.
To destroy those life forms which are imperfect. What is music?